Welcome to RelapsePreventionPlan.net's free online rehab lessons. We believe that it's never too late to learn to prevent relapse. Welcome to this presentation on couple and partner relationships, Part 1. In this presentation, you'll learn to describe the most common reason for not wanting to work to change a relationship, describe the most common attitude that predicts dissatisfaction in relationships, and to describe the steps to assess and learn from a relationship interaction that has gone poorly. A loving relationship is one in which the loved one is free to be himself, to laugh with me, but never at me, to cry with me, but never because of me, to love life, to love himself, to love being loved. Why can't we just all get along? We fight because we lack the motivation to get close to the people we're at odds with. We get caught up in hostility and conflict because battle is rewarding. It feels good to look down on someone when we're annoyed or angry with them. It gives us a feeling of moral superiority. And we don't want to see that we have a distorted view of that person. There's a resistance to change. This resistance to change has nothing to do with gender. Men and women are equally likely to protest and say, "Why should I have to change? It's all their fault." We make demands. When we fight, we think about the person we're at odds with in a negative, illogical, and self-defeating way. We make demands that drive them farther away. Nothing will help unless you want it to. People in troubled relationships can learn all the communication skills in the world, but it won't do any good if they aren't strongly motivated to get closer to the person they're at odds with. In most cases, hostility and conflict do not continue due to lack of skills. They continue because of powerful motivation to have the problems continue. Change the way you think, and you can change the way you feel and behave. Learn to think about other people in a more positive way, and it's easier to resolve conflict and develop more rewarding personal relationships. Using cognitive skills improves relationships. We all provoke and maintain the exact relationship problems that we complain about, feel like victims and tell ourselves the problem is the other person's fault, deny our own role in the conflict because self-examination is painful, and we are secretly warded by the problem we are complaining about. We want to maintain our appearance of innocence, and we have far more power than we think to change troubled relationships. We can change relationships if we stop blaming the other person and focus instead on changing ourselves. Every Sunday, complete the relationship satisfaction test at feelingggood.com/relationship-satisfaction-test. This brief but accurate test will show you exactly how satisfied or dissatisfied you feel about any relationship. It can be someone you care about or are at odds with. This test will help you chart your progress as you do the work in the sessions and your texts. It won't tell you who's to blame for the problem. It only shows how good or bad your relationship is. We all have to judge for ourselves whether our relationships are meeting our needs. You must change if you want your relationships to change. You are free to change yourself, not others. People will eventually change how they respond to you if you first change your responses to them. Professional help is needed if your partner is abusive or violent, engaged in criminal activities, addicted to drugs or alcohol. You need professional relationship help after quitting or rehab if you feel severely depressed, overwhelmed, or suicidal. You have fantasies or urges about losing control and hurting other people. You have tried unsuccessfully to use the techniques in the downloadable book Make Your Last Relapse the Last, and or after you finished rehab. But there are options for dealing with a troubled relationship. You can maintain the status quo, end the relationship, or make the relationship better. Maintaining the status quo is the most popular option. It's used if you lack motivation to do something about the problem. It's used if you are unsure about what you want and are buying time, and if you think putting up with a bad relationship is better than none at all. You can end the relationship, and it's used because trying to develop a close, loving relationship with certain kinds of people is a drastic mistake. It's chosen as a good option if the person is a con artist, violent, reckless, addicted to alcohol or drugs, or extremely self-centered or psychopathic. It's used because there is no rule that says you have to try to get along with everyone. Or you can make the relationship better. This is used because waiting for someone else to change is the same thing as maintaining the status quo. It's used when you decide to stop waiting for someone to do their share of changing, which is the same as maintaining the status quo. It's also used when you want to stop blaming others for your relationship problems. It's used when you decide to focus on the problem and work entirely on changing yourself. Because you want to develop a more loving or satisfying relationship with someone, you can try to make the relationship better. So, the keys to a loving relationship. Research shows that demographic variables are not related to satisfaction in a relationship, such as age, sex, wealth, religious affiliation, or education. Each partner's feelings about the relationship are dependent entirely on their own attitudes, not their partner's. Other blame was the most important attitude in predicting dissatisfaction. People who blamed their partners or people in general for the problems in their relationships were angry, frustrated, unhappy, and intensely dissatisfied with their relationships. The only thing that matters: do you blame your partner for the problems in your relationship? If so, you are in for a tough time. Self-blame is not the answer, either, because it can trigger guilt, anxiety, depression, and giving up. If you're willing to examine your own role in the problem, the odds for a rewarding and successful relationship are high, now and in the future. Personal responsibility without any blame at all is the mindset that leads to successful relationships. Assigning blame. Each person is more aware of their own pain than of their power over their partner during a tense situation. It's easy to act or speak out, but hard to heal and forgive. Avoid wasting time and emotion by naming who started the disagreement. Make your mantra no fault, only an opportunity to understand each other better. Assigning blame is a leftover from our childhood when we learned that someone was always at fault. Bad and good communication each have two characteristics. Bad communication means not expressing your feelings openly and not acknowledging how the other person is feeling and thinking, and choosing instead to argue and get defensive. Good communication has two characteristics: expressing your feelings openly and directly, and acknowledging the other person's feelings. When you are having trouble getting along with someone, the entire conflict will nearly always be embedded in any one brief exchange between the two of you. When you understand why the two of you are butting heads at that moment, you'll know how to resolve the problem you're having at that moment and know how to resolve most, if not all, of the problems in your relationship with that person. So let's do an exercise. Let's get specific. Grab a pen and some paper. And remember, you can pause these slides at any point while you work through the exercise. Briefly describe a recent interaction that didn't go very well with the person you're in a relationship with. Write down exactly what the other person said to you. Be brief. Write down exactly what you said next. Be brief. Using the following slides, decide if your response was an example of good communication or a common communication error. Now let's review common communication errors. Number 1, truth. You insist that you are right and they are wrong. Blame. You say that the problem is their fault. Martyrdom. You claim that you're an innocent victim. Put down. You imply that they are a loser because they always or never do certain things. Hopelessness. You give up and insist there's no point in trying. Demandingness. You say you're entitled to better treatment, but you refuse to ask for what you want in a direct, straightforward way. Denial. You insist that you don't feel angry, hurt, or sad when you really do. Passive aggression. You pout or withdraw or say nothing. You may storm out of the room or slam doors. Self-blame. Instead of dealing with the problem, you act as if you're an awful, terrible person. Helping. Instead of hearing how depressed, hurt, or angry they feel, you try to solve the problem or help them. Sarcasm. Your words or tone of voice convey tension or hostility which you aren't openly acknowledging. Scapegoating. You suggest that they have a problem and that you're sane, happy, and uninvolved in the conflict. Defensiveness. You refuse to admit any wrongdoing or imperfection. Counterattack. Instead of acknowledging how they feel, you respond to their criticism of you by criticizing them. Diversion. Instead of dealing with how you both feel in the here and now, you list grievances about past injustices. So, the next step is to assess the consequences of your response by deciding if your response made the problem better or worse, and briefly describe why. And this is a safe space for you on your own to answer very honestly to yourself, because nobody's looking. And if you answer honestly to yourself, you'll be able to progress forward in the situation. Write a more constructive response after viewing the following 2 slides. Use effective communication to rewrite your response with some of these techniques. The disarming technique. Find some truth in what they are saying, even if you feel convinced that what they're saying is totally wrong. Empathy. Put yourself in their shoes and try to see the world through their eyes. Paraphrase their words. Acknowledge how they're probably feeling, given what they are saying to you. Inquiry. Ask gentle, probing questions to learn more about what they are thinking and feeling. I feel statements. Express your feelings with I feel statements such as I feel upset. Avoid you statements such as you're wrong or you're making me furious. Stroking. Find something genuinely positive to say to the person. This indicates that you respect them, even though you may be angry with each other. So now share your old response and then your new response with a trusted, sober friend or family member and get feedback on how to improve your new response. On your own time, use the Feeling Good Handbook on pages 363 to 420 to improve your communication skills. You can also use the book PeopleSmart to identify problem communication areas and practice specific skills. Remember, you can get both of these books out at the library for free or find them secondhand. Interpersonal skills are the sum total of your ability to interact effectively with other people. We engage in relationships because we have goals we wish to pursue that require the participation of other people as well as ourselves. And relationship skills are important. A recent study found couples who start with high expectations for happiness and poor relationship skills had steep declines in marital satisfaction as time passed. They had less positive, and those who had less positive expectations and good relationship skills had steep declines in satisfaction as time passed as well. More positive expectations and good relationship skills had more stable satisfaction over time. Realistic expectations. So if couples have low expectations, they may not bother to work on their relationship, use their relationship skills to achieve satisfaction. So couples with poor relationship skills and high expectations start off with lower levels of satisfaction, then drop off even further. Realistic, positive expectations and good relationship skills are the best combination for couple satisfaction over time. Couples often have children. A couple's relationship problems spill over into their parenting and then into their child's adult relationships. Studies show that parent-child relationships are improved more by couples education than by parent education. Children have better school performance, fewer emotional problems, lower substance abuse, less delinquency, fewer teen pregnancies, and fewer health problems when their parents have a healthy relationship. Partnerships may have gone off track. If you combine poor relationship communication skills, poor conflict resolution or negotiation skills, and the difficulties caused by the experience of addiction, you might find that you have gone off track. Relationships build up a culture, moment by moment. Partners send messages to each other about their beliefs with each interaction. Couples build up communication patterns moment by moment. Each interaction creates a memory which over time becomes a pattern of behavior. If you don't create awareness of what you are doing, it is much like building a brick wall blindfolded. Change individual interactions and you change the relationship. So why are you feeling this way? A simple example. Your partner's having a cup of coffee and relaxing. You want to hurry up and get out the door to get the shopping done. The more your partner enjoys their coffee, the more restless you become. The more you assign negative qualities and meaning to their behavior. Are you getting angry because they're relaxing, or because you have to work hard at keeping yourself on track and would like to be relaxing? Or what are other ideas that you might be getting upset in this situation? So pause to see your partner and yourself in a new light. First, listen to yourself. Pay attention to what's going on inside. Think of some options for how to behave with your partner. You can choose how you view your partner's behavior once you become aware of your own thinking and behavior. Avoid making quick judgments. Pause before you speak verbally or non-verbally. Use your quick judgments differently. You can use your quick judgments about your partner as an inner flashlight to check out what you are thinking and feeling, what conclusions you are drawing. Notice your own black and white beliefs to prevent polarizing a situation and moving you and your partner into separate camps. Slow down and breathe deeply during each interaction that gets your judgments rolling. Check for labeling language. Listen to the language you use in your head and aloud to describe you or your partner. Using the balance of opposites puts relationships off balance. Using the language of opposites puts relationships off balance. Responsible or irresponsible, organized or disorganized, worker or relaxer, assertive or passive, spender or saver. Check the book the Feeling Good Handbook for labeling and ways to manage this. Check for hidden rules. Behaving perfectly is impossible, particularly when expectations held by you and your partner are unwritten. Together, write down the main rules of your relationship. Check to make sure inner unwritten rules are not a setup for failure for you and your partner. Hidden rules cause unhappiness. For example, how could I have been so stupid? I should have known he wouldn't like that. Validate your inner rules with your partner. Hiding negativity doesn't help. The ability to ignore unpleasantness can become a fine art for some partners. It comes as a shock to the other partner when they find out all was not well. The challenge is to keep a positive outlook while recognizing and sharing opportunities for your growth and your partner's growth. Learning to share the positive and the negative in kind and respectful ways is at the heart of good couple communication. Stop to take stock. What if every time you made a quick judgment about your partner or you both felt like attacking each other, you stopped and asked, why am I so angry and judgmental? What is running through the back of my mind? Learning to focus and think before acting or speaking is a cognitive skill. Make it part of your toolkit for creating better couple relationships. Self-care and individual wellness are keys to couple success. Adults have more successful relationships when they take care of themselves and lessen their own risk for depression, unhealthy stress levels, physical illness, and economic hardship. First, take care of yourself to begin improving your relationships. I used to think of all the billions of people in the world, and of all those people, how I was going to meet the right ones. The right ones to be my friends, to be my husband. Now, I just believe you meet the people you're supposed to meet. Don't forget to tune in for the next presentation, part 2 of couple partner relationships. Here are some of the references for this presentation. Feel free to pause this slide or the next if you'd like to take a closer look. Today, You've learned to describe the most common reasons for not wanting to work to change a relationship. You've learned to describe the most common attitude that predicts dissatisfaction in relationships. And you can now describe the steps to assess and learn from a relationship interaction that has gone poorly. Don't forget to read and complete Chapter 8 and our free downloadable workbook, Make Your Last Relapse the Last, available on relapsepreventionplan.net. Remember, this video is not a substitute for proper medical care and consultation with your physician. Don't ignore professional advice or delay seeking treatment based on the information in this video or on this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. You can do it. We believe in you, so don't give up.